Hey everyone, this is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. I'm going to tell you the truth about the World Series. One word, one name, JT Realmuto. He was a hero for the Philadelphia Phillies. And it did. The Phillies won tonight, 6-5, but it didn't start. It started out like your usual Houston Astro game. Verlander comes out, three scoreless. They haven't got a hit off him. They can't touch him now. He's throwing that high fastball, and he's wearing the Phillies out. And Kyle Tucker gets it going. They get off to a fast start. He homers. Maldonado, at the bottom of the order, who's been great in the postseason singles, is 2-0. And then Kyle Tucker comes up again, hits this 3-run homer. Bam! The Phillies are on the canvas. 5-0 Houston Astros. Now, this is the problem. The Yankees did not do the Houston Astros any favor. Because normally, if they're playing the Yankees, okay, you could turn your set up. The Yankees might get a run two. The game's over. These are the fighting Phillies. The Phillies are like, okay, now it's our turn. You threw your punch now. Now let's see if you can take our punch. And they come back with Castellanos, who was solid with a single. Brahm, who's been good in the postseason, brings in Bryce Harper and Castellanos 5-3. Okay. Now can they sustain it? And the hero of the game, Realmuto. When runners are on base, the Philadelphia Phillies all playoffs long has been able to deliver the goods and get them home. Whatever it takes. The Astros are overwhelming favorite, but the Philadelphia Phillies found a way to tie the score. And I was like, oh, okay. Now, the Astro Miller relief was sensational because Neris and Montero and then Presley was just, they were lights out. And then Garcia came in there and did okay. And then Stanek came in. And this is when Realmuto comes up and hits another home run. And now the Phillies have a lead 6-5. I'm like, okay. But the Astros have been known to, even when they've given a lead against Seattle, they came all the way back. So they're going to fight back. So now Alvarez strikes out. Bregman, who you're not getting out in this situation, doubles the left. Kyle Tucker, the hero, what could have been the hero, strikes out. Gurriel walks. And now Diaz grounds out to third. And the Phillies hold on in Houston. And this is the first game that Houston has lost all playoffs. They haven't lost in almost a month. And the Phillies come in there, which they're not even in the least bit intimidated because they walked into St. Louis. They walked into Atlanta. They walked into San Diego. And Houston, they're not scared. They walked in there, and their middle relief pitching did the job, even when Nola was a little off. And they hit Verlander. Verlander's ERA is over 5 in the World Series. He's been lights out any other time, but in the World Series, he has not pitched well at all. That's an interesting stat I just learned today. ERA is over 5. It'll probably be higher. So if you're Houston, you're thinking, okay, we were due to lose. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is like, oh boy. Because if you look at Houston, other than the year they cheated to win the World Series, they've gotten beat up at home. The Nationals won the first 2 games. Atlanta won the game 1, and they won in game 6 to finish them off when Solis hit that bomb, and the Atlanta fans were cheering. You could hear them cheering in Houston. So right now, they have to fight doubt. But they also can say, okay, we're still good because we know we're pretty good on the road. We get one at home, we get one in Philly, we can go 6-7 and finish them. But these Phils are on a mission, and I thought the Astros would win. It was 5-5, and Houston and Philadelphia didn't get any more runs. I said the Astros would get them in the ninth and do what they do, and they didn't. And then Realmuto hits that bomb home run. And now, whew, you talk about pressure because the Astros have a great home field, but the Philadelphia, even though it's not a dome, going in Philadelphia in that little stadium, that place rocks from start to finish. And you got 3 games coming up, so it'd behoove you to get game 2 and take care of business. Now, they got a Zach Wheeler on full day's rest going against Valdez. And Valdez better be on because I think Zach Williams is going to be on. That's a great pitcher matchup. And the longer that game in Houston is close, the more pressure is on the Astros. If I'm the Astros, I go get out to another big lead and then just coast and try to just get game 2 out of the way. Okay, now we can either win 1 or 2. We're not going to let the Phillies sweep us in their building. So we get 1, we got 6 and 7 in our building. If we get 2, we can finish in 6. We can't get swept like the Padres did and go out like that, or like the Braves did. And I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be hard to win in Philadelphia because they are contact hitters. This is unlike going at the Yankee Stadium where you could strike out 17 Yankees or 20 Yankees in a game. The Philadelphia Phillies, if you're not throwing like absolutely filthy stuff, like Montero threw a filthy slider to get Castellanos out in a pressure situation. If you're not throwing the most unhittable slider, the Philadelphia Phillies are going to put the ball in play. And they're getting these clutch hits, and now they believe now. Now you really got a problem. And like I said, I just don't think the Yankees did the Astros favors by being non-competitive. Now you're not really battle tested. And the Phillies were battle tested because the Padres were coming right back at them. The Braves were back with them. The Cardinals were no match, but they were able to have to go through crisis situations. The Astros didn't have to go through a crisis. The Yankees were dropping fly balls and botching double plays. If the Phillies botch a double play, it doesn't affect them. If the Yankees botch a double play, they're just going to fold and shut it down. But the Phillies, and they're fielding well. They have made errors all year long in the regular season. In playoffs, they're hyper-focused. And, they got their leader, Bryce Harper. Castellanos is hitting well. Realmuto is hitting well. Their middle relief has been lights out, just like the Astros. So they say, okay, Houston, we can go toe-to-toe with you. We got Alvarado and Ephraim and Suarez and Dominguez, and then we got Robinson finish you off. So their middle relief has come together and been as good as Houston. So Houston's going to have to earn. This is not going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, we win, we get the lead, and then we get coast. This is going to be, you're going to have to dig down deep to take the Phillies out. And that's what's going to make for a great series. College football. Really, the big matchup is Penn State, Ohio State. Can Penn State, who got annihilated by Michigan, stay with Ohio State? Can they do it? Probably not, but I'm going to tell you something. I think they're going to have a better showing at home than they did on the road against Michigan. Now, the question is, how in the world do you stop Stroud? How do you stop C.J. Stroud and Mayan Williams from running and Emeka Ubaka? How do you stop Marvin Harrison? Ubaka and Harrison are just running wild in the secondary. I'm looking forward to Ibaka versus Joey Porter Jr., and Marvin Harrison versus Joey Porter Jr. I'm looking forward to that matchup. Can Penn State keep this from being a game where they got to just 7-0, 14-0? Oh my gosh, we got to play catch up. Now you can't run the ball. Now you can't have balance. Singleton can't be involved now. Now you got to go. You got to go into an air raid mode. We're going to say, can they just keep it? Hang around the second quarter. Maybe it's 24-20 in the third quarter. Maybe you're down 7. Maybe you're down 8 or 9. but you're driving, and now you have a chance. If you get a stop, you got a chance to take the lead. It has to be that kind of game. It can't be 28-3 at halftime, and Ohio State's they're just running roughshod like they have run roughshod over the Big Ten so far this year. But now, when Ohio State and Penn State play in Penn State, historically, Penn State's beat them once, and a lot of times it's been really, really close. One time, Ohio State kind of got lucky to come out of Happy Valley with a W. Now, I don't think they're going to need luck in this game. I don't think it's going to be 54-10 like last week. Now, Stroud threw for four touchdowns last week. And Penn State is playing a lot better. And they just had a hiccup against Michigan. But the one thing that Penn State's pretty good as far as, you got Joey Porter Jr. at the cornerback. The one thing that really messed Penn State up is the fact that Michigan punched them in the face in the running game. I don't think Ohio State's like that, but I think what their coaching staff is going to do is say, listen, let's give them a little bit of a Mayan Williams experience where he's banging in between the tackles and he's getting those chunk yards. Then that'll open up Ibaka and Harrison to go off. And then that allows C.J. Stroud to continue how great he's playing. I'd like to see this game close. I want to see a close game. I want to see how Ohio State reacts in a tight game. What are you made of? Understand you're the third highest scoring team in the nation at 49 points a game. Who's number two? Number one. They're 10th in the nation in holding people as far as only 14 points a game, but that's the Big Ten. You wouldn't have that in the ACC, but they are averaging 517 total yards a game. And Penn State's 245, so it behooves Penn State to make this a possession where you're taking up 5-6 minutes down the field, getting points. This can't be 3 and out, giving the ball back to C.J. Stroud. Then that's when it turns. That's when it gets out of control. And you're going to have to come up with some turnovers. You're going to have to get kind of lucky, too, if you're going to have a chance. But the other game, and I think Ohio State wins in a good, close game. Because of they got the whiteout in Happy Valley, but Ohio State will prevail. They'll make enough plays in the passing game that'll get them over. Now, Florida, Georgia. Now, Georgia's got the great tight ends. They got the great young defense. Can Anthony Richardson make it happen? He has 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions so far. And he's been inconsistent. He's very talented. Now, Florida's going to get beat. Now, how bad does Florida get beat? That's what we need to know. How bad does Florida get beat? Do they play over their heads and in the greatest cocktail cookout place in Jacksonville, the greatest cocktail in the world? I got that wrong, but they was playing Jacksonville. Will he light up the scoreboard, make it a game, play the best game of his career? Brock Bowers is going to get his. I think Florida's decent as far as defense. They can be very explosive on offense. You look at that Tennessee game; they were toe-to-toe with Tennessee, except for a couple of mistakes. They're going to have to play that same way against Georgia to make it competitive. It's a rivalry game. I think it's going to be competitive for 3.5 quarters. Then Georgia kind of pulls out and wins. Bowers and Edwards, Dijon Edwards runs well, and Bowers makes enough plays, and Bennett does what he has to do. And Georgia moves on to Tennessee. And I think Tennessee beats Kentucky. Now, one thing Kentucky does, they're one of the best teams in the nation as far as possession, holding the ball, not taking up a lot of time on the clock. Tennessee is the 5th best team as far as plays and pace, They run a fast break offense. You saw the Alabama game. You saw the LSU game where they destroyed LSU. Kentucky's the opposite. So whose pace wins out? It's at Tennessee. It's a potential letdown game, but I think Tennessee prevails, and we're going to have an undefeated Tennessee and undefeated Georgia in one of the biggest matchups of the year to go along with Alabama LSU. Next week is going to be a special week when it comes to college football. All right, not a lot of great matchups in the NFL. A good one is the Rams and the 49ers. What I want to talk about, which was actually good Thursday night game, was Tampa and the Ravens. And Tampa started out strong. They get us up 7-3. Then they driving the ball down the field, and Brady can't find a man in the end zone. And it's still going 14-3, really putting the pressure on Lamar Jackson. They kick a field goal, and they had a couple opportunities they blew. And when the third quarter came, the Ravens had a nice drive where Jackson found himself, and they were running the ball really well, running in between the tackles, gashing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then they end up tying the game at 10. 3 and out. Here comes, and now you're a little tired after that, a long drive. They come right back down with another long drive, touchdown, Lamar Jackson, Isaiah Likely. Nice pass in the end zone, too. Very nice pass. And then they come down, and Tampa, in the fourth quarter, this is a typical Brady found himself because he was missing guys. And one thing I did notice is he doesn't have a lot on his balls as far as deep. As far as the short passes, they're solid. As far as the seam routes, they're solid. But like a couple times he got a lucky pass interference penalty when he lobbed the ball, and the ball has nothing on it. One time Evans had Humphrey beat, and he couldn't get it to him. And he's old. What's wrong with the Brady? He's old now. Father Time is undefeated. So they only get a field goal. Normally that's a touchdown drive. And then the Ravens, now you got to get a stop. And the Tampa Bay defense is worse than the offense. The defense was just bad. They got gashed again. And Duvernay rushed up the middle for a 15-yard touchdown with very low resistance. Tampa comes down, and it's another field goal because they can't. And I saw how Brady was frustrated when he couldn't find Rudolph in the end zone. He missed him. And then here comes the Ravens right down the field where Justin Tucker kicks that gash, game-ending kind of finishing field goal. They end up winning. They're up 27-16. They end up winning 27-22. And they really, they had 231 rushing yards, 222 passing yards. They were good. They were really, really good. Duvernay ran the ball. Jackson ran the ball well. He was 27-38, 2 touchdowns. But Fournette was bad. They shut Fournette down. He only had 24 yards rushing. So now Brady doesn't have a running game, and their passing game's a little off because they can't get the ball down the field. So the Raiders was like, okay, we're going to take the middle. We're going to flood the zone, dare you to go deep. That's why Humphrey played Evans so tight because it's like, okay, if you get past me, Brady can't get it to you. And I saw some things I didn't like. Devin White didn't look like he played that hard. Looked like he was jaking it. He was loafing. He couldn't come off blocks like normally. Their defense got gashed. I didn't see maximum effort. I saw Todd Bowles scream at White, and White is mad. I figured, okay, that motivated him. The next time they come on the field, he got blocked and pushed out of the way, and they just ran the ball down the field. They were able to pass the ball. They didn't get any stops. They didn't put up any resistance. You know what? My guy in Carolina, P.J. Walker, Carolina could get back in this by default. What if they beat the Falcons this week? New Orleans they're going to lose again. You look at the standings, and New Orleans is 2-5, Carolina's 2-5. Tampa Bay's 3-5. So if Carolina wins against Atlanta, Carolina's 3-5. Atlanta's 3-5. And with New Orleans loses at 2-6, the Carolina's in first place with PJ Walker, my guy, who's being made, who's a butt of jokes. And I told you this kid can play. He's a good backup quarterback. He's going to be around the league for a while. Okay? So just, keep laughing and making fun of him while he wins this Sunday. Just watch. But finally, I do like the Rams to win at home against the Niners. And I think the Jets and Giants are going to prevail. They're going to keep this excitement in New York City as far as the football teams go on one more week. I'm a little nervous going against Geno Smith when the Giants play Seattle. I'm much more confident that the Jets will beat the New England Patriots.